Iceland is my favorite country in the whole world. I've been fortunate enough to visit it multiple times during winter and summer. This time, it's my first time renting a van and going on a camping road trip for 14 days around the whole island. In this video, I'm gonna present you my itinerary for a 14-day road trip on Iceland's Ring Road. We're gonna explore some ice caves, hot springs, waterfalls, some really cool campgrounds, and maybe even see the northern lights. But let's not waste any time and start on day one.
Dear passengers, welcome to Iceland, the home of Icelander. The local time is 12 minutes past 6.
After a short ride from the airport, I picked up my van for the next 2 weeks. This for sure has been the cheapest way to travel around Iceland by far. It cost me only about $1,000 to rent this camper for 2 weeks. Staying in hotels plus a rental car would have been way more expensive. I hope it will keep me warm though, but we're gonna find out very soon. After a long flight, my first stop in Iceland was the Sky Lagoon in Reykjavik. This geothermal spa was the perfect place to relax after such a long journey. I really liked the sauna with ocean views and the steam baths plus the ocean views it provided. It can get really busy though, especially during sunset, so I recommend visiting earlier in the day. I also didn't like that there's no place to relax outside the water. There is however a cafe where you can get snacks and drinks. So good morning. After the first night in the camper, it was a cozy night actually. First I turned the heat off and it was way too cold, and I turned the heat on a little bit and it was super cozy, super warm in here, so I can't complain. This morning I woke up to snow, so it's really cold outside, and I'm just gonna get some breakfast, head out of Reykjavik and hit the road. Let's go. About 45 minutes outside of Reykjavik is Reykjadalur, a hot spring river in the middle of nowhere, and probably my favorite hot spring in Iceland. To get there you have to hike up a little mountain, but don't worry, it's not too steep. Okay, after 45 minutes I made it up here to the river, which is a hot spring river, which is so nice. I already went in there, soaked for about 45 minutes. The way up here takes about 45 minutes hiking up, and it's snowing here now, so in the summer it might be a little quicker. But I think I have to go down now because it starts to getting dark. But the perks when you go for sunrise or sunset is there's no one here right now and it's so quiet. But yeah, time to go down. It got dark super quickly, so make sure to bring a headlamp if you go for sunset. It also started raining, so I was super happy to be back at the car and warm up. Day 3 starts with a visit to the very popular Golden Circle. The first stop is Skógafoss Waterfall, an impressive waterfall about an hour from the campground. There's multiple viewing platforms, and in the summer you can even walk down to see the waterfall up close. A short drive from Skógafoss is Glacier. As the name suggests, it's a glacier that erupts every 10 minutes and shoots boiling water up to 70 meters in the air. The Golden Circle is really busy, especially during midday, so expect many tourists when you visit if you don't arrive really early in the morning. The Golden Circle also includes Carrot Crater, but you have to pay, and I didn't think it was worth it, so I didn't include it in the video. If you like hot springs however, I would suggest stopping at Hrunalaug Hot Springs on the way down south. These really secluded hot springs were one of my favorites and are definitely worth a visit. Again, visit early in the morning and you will have the whole place to yourself. After a nice bath, it's time to head down south to Seljalandsfoss, a stunning waterfall near the coast. There's a small parking fee and a short walk from the parking lot to reach the falls. In the summer you can even walk behind it. A short walk from Seljalandsfoss is Glufrabui, a place I discovered on this trip for the first time. You have to jump some rocks on the river to get into the cave, but once you're in there, you get stunning views of this powerful site. For the night, I decided to stay directly at Skógafoss. The parking lot also can be used as a campground, and for $10 you can stay the night. If you park your camper right, you can even get waterfall views from your bed. Also, this gives you the opportunity to explore the waterfalls early in the morning before the crowds arrive. After waking up directly at the waterfall and having coffee, it was time to enjoy the beauty of this powerful site. A really short drive from Skógafoss is Kirjufell, which is one of my favorites. After paying a small parking fee, there's a nice trail that leads towards it. The walk takes about 15 minutes until you reach the falls. The cool thing about this waterfall is that you can also walk behind it and enjoy it from a different perspective. On the way towards Vik, I recommend stopping at Reynisfjara Beach, a popular beach with basalt columns surrounded by powerful waves. The beach is amazing for walks along the shoreline, but be careful, the waves here are unpredictable. After a very expensive soup in Vik, it's time to enjoy sunset at Dyrhólaey Lighthouse. The drive up the hill is beautiful and you get amazing views on the black sand beaches and mountains. In the winter, there's not many campgrounds open in Iceland, so I drove back for 20 minutes to spend the night again at Skógafoss. Waking up at Skógafoss again and enjoying the morning with coffee and waterfall views has been amazing. After breakfast, I headed further east. The drive on the ring road is beautiful and I could literally stop every 5 minutes. After a little more than an hour, I made it to Fjaðrárgljúfur, an amazing canyon that got popular from a Justin Bieber music video. There's multiple viewpoints along the short hike to the end of the trail that give you a nice view over the canyon. After another hour drive east, you will reach Skógafoss National Park, home to 2 massive glaciers. There's also an amazing campground with nice showers where I will spend the night and get ready for tomorrow's ice cave adventure. Directly from the campground there's a trail leading up directly to Dettifoss, a beautiful waterfall you reach after an easy 30-minute hike. The waterfall is surrounded by basalt pillars and is well worth the effort. Back at the campsite I had coffee and breakfast, then made my way towards Iceland's biggest glacier to explore an ice cave. After a beautiful 45-minute drive, I reached the glacier lagoon where most of the tours start. Heading north is a small tour operator that provides smaller groups, which I very much prefer. After a ride in a special vehicle on a bumpy road and a short hike, we made it to the entrance of the cave. The cave was quite busy with other tours when we arrived, but we waited and at the end we had it all to ourselves. It consists of 3 rooms that get darker and darker the further you go in. I have never been in an ice cave before, so this was an amazing experience which I only can recommend doing. The next day I wanted to explore the glaciers some more, so I drove back to Skógafell where I stayed the night before to get some rest. After waking up at Skógafell again, it was time to see the glaciers up close. A short 6-minute drive from the campsite is Svínafellsjökull, a massive glacier surrounded by mountains and a lake. After a short hike from the parking lot, you can walk right up to the ice, and it was so impressive to see this mighty glacier up close. After spending some time there, I headed east towards Höfn. Diamond Beach is another site you shouldn't miss on your way, but unfortunately the glacier lagoon was frozen, so there was no ice on the black sand beach. I decided to spend the night near Höfn and drove out to Stokksnes, an impressive beach, for a chance to see the northern lights there. It was so cloudy at first, but I waited and my patience paid off big time. Right next to Skógafell is a campsite at Viking Cafe where I spent the night. It's also a good spot to get some breakfast. Most people that come to Iceland only visit the south because there's a lot of sites close by and then they turn around at the glacier to head back to Reykjavik. I, however, wanted to explore the whole island, so I'm heading north towards Egilsstaðir. Today I spent a lot of driving on scenic roads along mountains and the ocean. After I arrived in Egilsstaðir and had dinner, I was ready to go to sleep, but then I saw a green light flickering in the sky, so I drove out of town to enjoy the show the Northern Lights put on again. After a short night watching the Northern Lights, I went to Hengifoss, the 3rd highest waterfall in Iceland, located about 30 minutes outside of Egilsstaðir. After 45 minutes you reach the end of the trail. The waterfall is surrounded by basaltic pillars and red layers of clay, which makes it look extra cool. About an hour drive from Hengifoss is Stuðlagil Canyon, a glacial river surrounded by huge basalt columns and well worth the visit. You have two options to visit this place. Either you drive up and look at the canyon from one of the platforms, or you cross the river onto the other side and hike in for about an hour. Here you can go down to the water and enjoy the canyon up close. When you visit in the winter though, make sure to bring crampons because the trail is covered in blank ice. After heading back to Reykjadalur to spend the night, the Northern Lights came out again for the third time in a row, which was amazing. I lost my drone the day before in the canyon, so after a strong coffee I went back to the canyon without luck. It was already later in the day, but I made my way towards Myvatn. The drive through this moon-like landscapes during sunset was amazing. Myvatn is a big lake next to a geothermal area and there's lots to see. Before going to get some rest, the aurora popped again and I spent the night watching the lights dance. After breakfast, I drove to Iceland's most powerful waterfall called Dettifoss. It's about 45 minutes from Myvatn. Make sure to go to the west side because the road is paved and not as bumpy. The waterfall itself is stunning and there's multiple viewing platforms you can observe the water crash down 44 minutes into the canyon. After Dettifoss, visit Grotagja, a geothermal spring cave known out of Game of Thrones. The water is too hot for swimming, but it's worth to go in and have a look from the shore. Plus, you can get really cool pictures here. On the way to Akureyri, Iceland's second biggest city, make sure to stop at Skógafoss, a waterfall right next to the Ring Road. Akureyri has beautiful surrounding and lies at the bottom of a mountain on a lakeshore, and you can even go skiing here. I was so tired from watching the Northern Lights the days before, so I went to bed super early for a long drive the next day. The campsite in Akureyri is beautifully located a bit out of town at the bottom of a mountain. After breakfast I got ready for the longest drive of the trip. I wanted to reach Kirjufell mountain for sunset and the drive is about 5 hours long. As everything in Iceland, the drive is beautiful. The further east I got, the more the snow faded and the brown grass appeared underneath. I managed to reach Kirjufell mountain just in time for sunset and it was beautiful. There's a basic campsite really close by, so I decided to stay there for the night. This was the last morning on the road, so I decided to take it easy and enjoyed the drive back to Reykjavik. I walked around the city for a bit and saw the famous Hallgrímskirkja, an iconic church in the center of town. The last night in the camper was the coldest, but luckily the heating system kept me warm. It was time to return the camper and go back to the airport. I really enjoyed my first camping road trip in Iceland and I will look back at it for a long time. Renting a camper van might be my new favorite way to travel Iceland, and I will share more tricks in another video. I hope you enjoyed my itinerary and it would be nice to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.